Good evening, everyone. It's Monday, April 4th, 2022. It's 6:30 p.m. and it's time for the Board of Selectmen, Capital Improvement Planning Committee, Finance Appropriation and Advisory Committee joint meeting. And the first order, as always, this board stands for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Mr. Johnson and Mr. Joseph are absent tonight. All right, item number 2, we have the consent agenda. Some minutes. It's the board's pleasure.
Mr. Chair, make a motion, we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Motion by Mr. Sullivan.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Siganovich. Any discussion on the consent agenda? Hearing none. Roll call vote, please.
Stephen Sullivan, aye.
Carrie Siganovich, aye.
John Marcy, aye. Unanimous. 3-0. All right, item 3, citizens' comments. Is there anybody in the audience who would like to speak on something that is not currently on tonight's agenda? Seeing none. On item 4, town administrators report. Mr. Ruda.
Mr. Chairman, today I was able to walk through DMA's retail cannabis facility with Chief Weiner and Lieutenant Karlovich. The retail side of the project is scheduled to receive its final licensing inspection from the Cannabis Control Commission, I believe, tomorrow. The police chief can update you or comment on any security or law enforcement questions that the board may have, but from my perspective, the board will be happy to know that it certainly appears that DMA has complied with and addressed any concerns that the board may have had early on. Everything is very secure and apparently very safe, and they will hopefully have a successful soft opening for retail within the next 14 days. So that project's moving forward. We've had some good news that Chapter 90 funds for cities and towns in Massachusetts has been increased. For Dudley, that will amount to a larger apportionment of funding to address critical infrastructure and roadways in the next fiscal year. I believe that for Dudley, this equals about $426,700 roughly. Jeff will be gathering more information in the weeks to come and be able to bring the board more info after he gathers it. And we're very close to the final price tag on the Brandon Road over Mill Race Bridge, which is the one between Webster and Dudley. It's been closed for months now. It will be at the permitting stages very soon. The Chapter 90 money was certainly welcome news, and we should be very close to providing not only a final price tag for the cost of construction on the bridge. As we've mentioned before, we're working on how much we can do in-house versus how much we need to farm out. And also we'll have a timeline together very soon. So that is moving forward. I know a lot of people are concerned about that.
Fantastic news.
And we've been meeting once a week, so there's not a lot further to update you on.
Yes, we have, right?
Yeah.
I just saw you guys. Anyway. Anybody have any questions for Mr. Ruda?
Nope.
Motion to accept.
Motion to accept the report as presented.
Motion by Mr. Sullivan.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Siganovich. Roll call vote.
Stephen Sullivan, aye.
Carrie Siganovich, aye.
John Marcy, aye. Unanimous. Thank you, guys. All right, thanks, Jonathan. Item 5, licenses and permits. Nichols College is here, I think. Oh, I suppose that's right. They're looking for an outdoor entertainment license Friday, April 22nd, 2022 from 6 p.m. to 11 p.m. Saturday, April 23rd, 2022 from 10 a.m. to 11 p.m. and May 4th, 2022 from 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. All located at the Copper Beach Quad for live band and DJ music for spring weekend activities. Ms. Bose.
Yes, anything you'd like to know about this?
You can tell us a little bit about what it's for, what's happening.
It's Bison Fest and Senior Week. So the kids are basically having a party out on the quad with music, food. It'll be fenced off with the mesh fencing, so the kids have to be ID'd to get in there and
All the normal stuff.
all the normal stuff.
Anybody have any questions for Heather?
Heather, good evening. It's going to be ran as always, right? They have their outside vendors come in, tip certified service.
Yes.
It's not
Yep.
Nichols staff serving.
Yep.
And the obligatory, everything's ran by the chief, right?
We'll check with public safety on that, yes.
Okay. No need for fire detail? Was it going to be a fire detail also, or just
ambulance,
police?
right?
Public safety or police, whatever. Dale,
Chief,
Chairman.
we usually, loop in the fire department too for that, did,
On occasion, I'm not sure what he does all the time with those. Some he does, so I'd have to defer to him.
all right, just have the administrator make sure everybody's
Yeah,
coordinated.
just make sure Dean's on board, you know.
Thank you,
Okay, thank you.
thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right, any other questions for Heather? All right, what's the board's pleasure?
I have the agenda, so I don't have the dates, but I'm just gonna, motion.
Want me to run it?
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to allow Nichols College to have an outdoor entertainment license for Friday, April 22nd, 2022, from 6 p.m. to 11 p.m., Saturday, April 23rd, 2022, from 10 a.m. to 11 p.m., and May 4th, 2022, from 7 p.m. to 11 p.m., all located at the Copper Beach Quad, live band DJ music for spring weekend activities.
Motion by Mr. Sigenovich,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Sullivan. Any other discussion? None, roll call vote, please.
Terry Siganovich, aye.
Stephen Sullivan, aye.
John Marcy, aye, unanimous. Thank you, Heather, for coming in.
It's already gone.
Yeah.
No, I'm saying though.
Oh, whew. He knows how to do this. All right, item 6, old business. Well, I'll read this while we sign those things. Capital Improvement Committee is going to present their updated fiscal year 23 capital improvement plan to the board to vote, or to adopt, or take any other action relative thereto. This was tabled from last week's meeting. Mr. Rudy, you want to kick it off before I go to my right to the chairman of the CIP?
Up on the screen, Mr. Chairman, and in the FAA's packets and in the Selectmen's Drive is the summary changes to the 5-year capital improvement plan starting in FY '23. There'll also be a copy of the updated spreadsheet when we get it updated, available for you to look at. But the summary is included. The Capital Improvement Committee is requesting that the Board of Selectmen vote to approve the following updates to the 5-year capital plan as summarized here.
Okay, I'm gonna start with Mr. Landry. You wanna read the summary of the changes?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
The Capital Improvement Committee is requesting that the Board of Selectmen vote to approve the following updates to the 5-year capital plan as summarized. The Fire Department increased funding for replacement of Engine 3 from $750,000 to $775,000. Remove replacement of Engine 2 in fiscal year 23 and mark as completed in fiscal year 22. No further changes to 5-year capital improvement plan. Water, fiscal year 23. Begin construction phase for new PFAS treatment facility on site of Station 6 on New Boston Road. Facility will require a minimum of 2 6AC granular activated carbon filter vessels and will be able to treat water from all 3 pumping stations. Estimated cost, SRF funded, $8 million. Design and construction of a new culvert for Station 6 treatment facility to prevent washout and damage of entire bridge. Estimated cost, $600,000. Water, fiscal year 24. Explore and test for new sources of water supply so that a 4th pumping station can be constructed to maintain distribution redundancy. This process will include permitting, test drilling, engineering, surveying, and sampling to ensure water yield, supply, and quality. Purchase of a new 2024 F-250 truck with utility body, toolbox, and lift gate optional. Estimated cost $65,000, borrow or retain. Water, fiscal year 25. Water main replacement project for Day Lane, Sunnyside Ave, and Oxford Ave, number 43. Project will replace old 6-inch transit pipe with 12-inch and 8-inch ductile iron pipe. Estimated cost $1.5 million, borrowing. Water, fiscal year 26. Replacement of 2003 heavy-duty dump truck with all related warning and safety equipment. Estimated cost $135,000, borrowing or retained. Water, fiscal year 27. Water main replacement project for the following streets: Lakeside Ave, Porsche Ave, and Luther Lane. This project will replace 6-inch transit pipe with 8-inch ductile iron pipe. Estimated cost, $909,000 borrowing. Water, fiscal year '28. Replacement of 2018 F-150 pickup truck with a 2028 F-250 or 350 4x4 pickup truck. Estimated cost, $53,000 borrow or retained. Sewer, fiscal year '23. Rehabilitation of sewer pump station at Luther Lane to include electrical upgrades, 2 new pumps, and a new generator. Estimated cost, $47,000, borrow or retain. Roof replacement at the main sewer plant building on Carroll Way. Estimated cost, $25,000 to $35,000, borrow or retained. I&I investigation, Nichols College area, Dudley Hill, Tanyard Road, and any other areas. Estimated cost, $150,000 to $300,000, borrow or SRF. Sewer, fiscal year '24. Replacement of a 1960s mobile sewer street jetter, which will include a new updated jetter plus all accessories and equipment. Estimated cost, $150,000 to $200,000, unknown yet. Sewer pump station upgrade for Conan Ave to include rehabilitation of older pump set. Estimated cost, $100,000, unknown yet. Fiscal year '25 sewer. Replacement of 2012 F-350 pickup truck with heavy-duty crane attachment with a 2025 F-350 pickup with utility body option and crane attachment. Estimated cost, $65,000, borrow or retained. Treasurer collector, fiscal year '23, $175,000 for town-wide accounting software. Municipal complex, fiscal year '23, $380,000 playground for replacement of all equipment and matting. Library, fiscal year '23, $87,000, $278 to replace carpeting in fiscal year '23. And that concludes.
Thank you, Mr. Landry, appreciate those updates. Anybody have any questions for Mark? FAA, have any questions?
Just a reminder, Mr.
Mr.
Chairman,
Ruda?
for everyone at home as well, that this discusses the capital improvement spending plan for the town. It doesn't decide or delineate the source of funding for all of these projects, so.
Right. Right, that's a good point, worth restating. Okay, and you like us to accept this tonight?
Yes, please.
Okay, what is the board's pleasure?
Motion to accept the proposed capital improvement plan as presented.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Sullivan, seconded by Mr. Sigenovich. Any other discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Stephen Sullivan, aye.
Harry Sigenovich, aye.
John Marcy, aye, unanimous. Thank you, guys. All right. Thank you, Capital Improvement Committee. All right, item 7, new business. Highway Superintendent is here to talk about dangerous tree removal, one of my favorite topics. Come on up, Jeff.
So there's a couple of trees on Mason Road. I was out walking the site with, in regard to the sidewalk project and viewed some of the trees. There's actually 2 trees that I'm asking the selectmen to recognize as hazardous trees that we'll be taking down over the next week or 2. They'll be marked. They're at 35 and 24.5 Mason Road. So.
Those don't require a public hearing, Mr. Chairman, right?
No, with a hazardous tree, they're identified as a hazardous tree, brought to the selectmen, and
Bypasses.
And added to the list,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. Okay, do we have any, I'm sure the residents are okay with this, right, sometime?
On safety.
And
again, they'll be flagged so that they're recognized, and
Okay.
then we'll proceed with the removal of the trees.
Okay, just wanna make sure we have all the communications out there.
Sure. And there will be some other trees in the future that may be taken down along, and in conjunction with the sidewalk project. A public hearing will take place for those. Those will be marked in advance of the public hearing, and then, again, this was just something that came up very recently when we did a site walk with the engineer, and so those have been identified to be taken down. Okay, thanks.
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Sullivan.
Jeff, all those trees are in the town taking, right? They're not private.
So that, with the exception of these trees,
Yeah,
they're in the town taking.
okay.
So that there is one tree on private property, and you may remember at one of the previous meetings, one of the residents asked for a tree that was outside of the town taking in a private resident. He had some concerns about disturbance of the roots with the sidewalk project, so that tree will be taken down as part of the sidewalk project. But both of these trees are within the town's taking.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Jeff. It says discussion, are we voting on this to allow?
I think that was pretty much the discussion, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
Mr. Sullivan asked his questions.
Okay. So it's just go ahead and do it. He can determine that. We don't need to vote on it.
It wouldn't hurt to take a vote.
Okay. Board members?
Chair, make a motion that we grant the highway superintendent / tree warden's request to remove 2 dangerous trees on Mason Road as located at 24.5 Mason and 35 Mason.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Sullivan, seconded by Mr. Sigenovich. Roll call vote, please.
Stephen Sullivan, aye.
Carrie Sigenovich, aye.
John Marcy, aye, unanimous. Thanks, Jeff, for bringing
Thanks,
that to
Jeff.
us. All right, item 8. This is our third continuation of the FY23 department budget hearings. So the chair will reconvene the hearing continued from 3/28/22 at 6:50 p.m. Item A, the Agricultural Advisory Commission is going to present their FY23 requests. Is anybody here from Ag Council? Yes. Come on up. Yep, absolutely. Take your time.
Having a little problem with my hip.
It's okay.
Hi, my name is Linda Lorkevich, and I'm the new chairperson for the Agricultural Advisory Commission. And I'm requesting an amount of $1,500 from the budget because we were going to purchase some a banner that would advertise the Agricultural Commission, and we also want to look at getting some road signs to put up that say "Right to Farm" at strategic points in the town as people enter the town, just to let people know that we are a right to farm community. And also, some of the budget money that we'd like to get is for, like if we do pamphlets and brochures, and also for like some supplies. When we did, a couple years ago, when they had the Apple Festival, we had a little area where the Agricultural Commission had a farmer's market, and we had a table set up with kids that they could do pumpkin decorating and stuff, and that money would go to purchase whatever we'd need for supplies. And we don't expect to use all $1,500, so I mean we may carry it over into the next year, but that's what we're trying to get as a starting point. Other than that, our commission really doesn't have that much of a request for other funding, but just to get the word out to people about the agricultural community in this area, and just to make sure people know that we are a right to farm community.
Excellent presentation. Board members, any questions for Linda?
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Sullivan?
to the administrator and Linda, do you guys utilize the town social media to get your message out too? That's free. They can put it on there.
We're starting to do that. We just started back up again because of COVID and everything. We weren't meeting for almost a year, and we started this year. And we've also been working with John Briere to get onto the Dudley Farmers website too. So there is some information out there now. We're starting to populate that, and we're starting to utilize the website and other social media platforms.
Mr. Administrator, it's such a small amount. You already have it budgeted in, right?
I did put it on the warrant I recommend approving it. It costs $1,500 from free cash.
Right.
Which
I saw that.
We have in the free cash line item now, so.
Okay, I did
Okay,
see that.
I want to
Mr.
give you the opportunity to discuss what
Yeah,
was
no,
happening.
I appreciate that. Linda, so these signs are like the ones when, say, I'm driving from Oxford into Dudley.
Yes.
It'll be a permanent sign that says Dudley Right to Farm.
Yeah.
I've seen those before in other towns.
Yeah,
That's
you know,
true.
like down like where you cross over into Connecticut where they got the Little League sign. We're only looking for something maybe that big, you know, maybe a foot by 2 feet, just to adhere to pre-existing signs that are, signposts that are already there.
Okay.
And we're looking at possibly the one coming in from Connecticut, then one coming from Webster over this way, possibly one on Schofield Ave at the lower end coming from that way from Connecticut, and either like Dudley Southbridge Road Dudley Oxford Road or Oxford Ave as you're coming in from that side as well. So,
Okay. Yeah, I was up in Hubbardston one, and they have their own signs. I'm pretty proud of those too, so.
yeah,
that's
we're
good.
just in the planning stage for it, for what we, you know, how we want it designed and stuff, and who we can actually go to have the metal signs made. So, we're working on it. We're trying to get the word out.
Awesome.
Mr. Chair, I just
Mr.
recommend they
Sullivan?
coordinate with Highway if they're gonna mount it on existing signs, that's all, just, I'm sure Jeff would be
I've already
involved.
called them.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm sure Jeff's already involved.
Awesome. Any other questions? No? All right, thanks, Linda. Appreciate you
You're
coming.
welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, 8B, Town Administrator is going to present his final recommended budget to the board and FAA for FY23, and then we will take separate votes to approve draft budget as presented and further authorizes the TA to make minor adjustments to line items to find less than 1% change to any bottom line or take any other action relative thereto. Mr. Bruto.
Mr. Chairman, this is my final recommendation. There was only some minor changes. We just read on the capital improvement plan about the purchase of the accounting software. So the first year we were able to change some budget line items around to pay the initial cost and the subscription cost for the first year, and then from there it'll be a regular budget line item. So we say this is my final recommendation. It's probably my final recommendation. We have one more meeting actually 2 more meetings on the books. I think we'll probably have to, we may have the schools in one more time at the next meeting.
Okay.
But I think we could probably take a vote on this overall budget now, and if we need to make a minor change, we can do that at another meeting.
Got it. I'll start with the FAA. FAA, have any questions? Mike on the phone? Board member, FAA board?
Just, John, the school side was a 5%?
The school side remains
in
at,
this budget?
the school side remains at 5%, the same as what we've been talking about.
Okay. I'm good.
How much of a dollar amount is that? I'm having difficulty pulling up
It's roughly 490. See if I can get that.
Okay, Carrie, Steve, have any questions for Jonathan? I'm just scanning it real quick.
I guess we're gonna find out, Mr. Chair. Are the schools gonna assume that 5% number in their budget, do we know?
Well, I think that's why we may have to have another meeting. We're just not settled on that right now.
All right.
So just to go over that, the Dudley Charlton Schools had a budget of $9,310,599 last year. They requested this year $10 million and voted on it, the school committee, $10,265,432. And their 5% increase over last year's assessment is $9,791,519, which is what is currently in our budget.
capital improvement, Mark Landry, do you have any, questions for town administrator?
No, sir.
And we've talked to all the departments that have requests, right?
We've talked to all the departments that have requests.
So it sounds like the last item is the school.
The one thing I will say is can wait till we get to the warrant, that's right.
All right. Okay. All right, so, board members?
Mr. Chair, as we all know, that's always the elephant in the room. I think the town,
Well-
we made it clear what our top number could be.
All right, okay, so the FAA, Mike, do you wanna call for a vote for your committee to approve the draft budget as presented? And authorize Jonathan to make minor adjustments? Mike, you wanna,
Say that again, John.
no worries. Do you wanna call for a vote for your committee to, approve the draft budget as presented and authorize the TA to make minor adjustments as needed?
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay, good. Go ahead.
So basically, I'll just entertain a motion to recommend, I guess.
Yes.
Anybody on there?
All right, motion.
Anybody wants to make the recommendation?
Yeah, Mark.
So moved.
Mark said it.
Okay.
That's too much.
Do I have a second?
Second.
That was John.
All right.
Yeah.
Who seconded that?
John.
Okay, is there any discussion at all?
No, sir.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
No, roll call vote, Mike.
Okay, roll call vote.
Mark Landry, aye.
Joan Gadecki, aye.
John Curry, aye.
Dan Gudrow, aye.
Mike May, aye.
All right, okay, unanimous, all right. Thanks, Mike. Thank you, FAA. Board members?
I'm good. Oh, what do you want, a motion to?
Yeah,
Oh, I'm sorry. How do you want that to read? Motion to accept the budget as presented?
How much is going into stabilization?
I make a motion to accept the final recommended budget for fiscal 2023 and authorize the town administrator to make minor adjustments to line items defined less than 1% to any change to bottom line.
motion by Mr. Sullivan,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Sigenovich. Any other discussion?
I just,
Go ahead, Terry.
I wish we were putting money into stabilization.
I can explain that, Mr. Chairman.
Now or during the
No,
warrant?
I understand
I know.
why. I understand why we're waiting. I understand.
Go ahead, it might be your birthday,
I mean, we can only raise taxes 2.5% and the school is 5%.
yeah.
That's not a sustainable model. It isn't. I'm going to vote for this, but I don't agree with this.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Stephen Sullivan, aye.
Harry Sigenovich, aye.
John Marzi, aye. Unanimous. Okay. That's the draft budget. So we're good on that, Jonathan? Anything else?
Now we're gonna move on to, I think the warrant is next.
All right, let me, move that over here. These things are very sensitive. All right, 8C. TA is requesting the FAA to review and state recommended actions with the Board of Selectmen and recommended funding sources for financial articles 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 11, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 19, and vote to approve actions as decided as part of the discussion. And we have a recommended motion. Mike, do you have it in front of you, or do you want Vice Chairman Landry to read that? Or talk?
Yeah, I do not have that.
Okay. All right. Okay, do you wanna walk through them again? And then we'll.
So,
we'll,
Mr. Chairman, these have not been, except a little bit of the form has been changed.
All right, let me open.
These are the same articles that we reviewed at the end of last meeting, but wanted to let it ride till the next one. There's no,
There was some in flux, right? You were still editing them, right?
Yeah, kind of.
Okay.
So, let's start with Article 1. Article 1 is to receive the reports of town offices. That's generally a rubber stamp so that we can continue with the town meeting. My assumption is that the FAA will recommend that that's approved. The second one is to hear committee recommendations. To hear and act on the recommendations of the Board of Selectmen and Finance Appropriation Advisory Committee, or take any other action relative thereto. Again, that's pretty much a rubber stamp so we can move forward with the town meeting. I'm gonna assume the FAA recommend to approve that as well. Article 3 is the budget that both committees just approved, both the Board of Selectmen and the FAA just approved. So I'm gonna assume that that will fly for this, Article 3. It also shows the broken down bottom line budgets, because we always vote a bottom line budget, not individual line items. Article 4 authorizes revolving funds, which is again, same thing happens every year with revolving funds. Article 5, this is my article, to fund an employee merit pool. This is for collective bargaining unit employees, to the tune of $32,000 based on merit increases, and that's in keeping and in line with this board's vote to authorize merit pay increases based on performance, and we are on track in terms of the performance evaluations. The final one will take place in June. This will fund it.
Okay.
Article 6, I believe that the principal assessor was here last meeting, speaking about the fact that she has a bill to pay, which will come due before October town meeting, for $9,850 to fund the balance of the cost of recertification of real estate and personal property values for FY '23. We'd wanna make sure that that got done for obvious reasons. And I'm gonna recommend that the FAA approve that. The source of funding for that would be free cash at the springtime meeting. Article 7 is another Board of Assessors request, $21,400 to fund the cost of cyclical inspections for FY '23 as required by the State Department of Revenue, or take any other action relative thereto. I'm gonna recommend that the FAA approve that, not approve that, but pass it over to act on the fall on that particular item.
And all the motion languages will be on the warrant like we usually do by the
Yeah.
time, okay.
We're just going over
Yeah.
financial articles tonight, so Article 10 is the next one, to see if the Board of Selectmen will be sponsoring it, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate, borrow, or transfer from available funds a sum of $380,000 to rebuild, restore, and renovate the Fun Zone playground located at 71 West Main Street. We discussed the potential fundraiser to pay off any bond that might be issued to fix that playground, get it back up and open and safe. And I'm gonna recommend that, we haven't started the fundraiser yet, or the private entities that are gonna run the fundraiser have not started it yet, so I was gonna recommend that we pass that over until the fall. Because even if we raise the money, we wouldn't be able to fix it in time anyways, to open in a month. Article 11, you saw in the capital improvement committee plan, is the purchase of a new fire engine of, the cost is $775,000. It authorizes the treasurer to borrow such sum under the consistent with Proposition 2.5 debt exclusion ballot question. A 2/3 majority is required to borrow. I would recommend that the FAA recommend to the town meeting to approve this, so that it can be voted on the ballot. It's a contingent article, meaning that if it doesn't pass at the ballot, to be debt excluded, then we'd have to find another way. We wouldn't necessarily be stuck with it because we wouldn't borrow for it until it passed at the ballot, so it's contingent on that vote.
So a negative vote would mean the article fails.
Negative vote means that we wouldn't buy it before we knew that we were able to borrow to pay off the loan through a debt exclusion, is what that means.
Mm-hmm.
Article 12, sponsored by the Board of Selectmen, moves $75,000 from capital improvement stabilization to be used over the course of the next fiscal year and beyond to address some of the compliance and regulatory issues that we have. Whether it's to do grant design or project design, will be used to apply for the grant. It will give us the seed money, I think, to at least make some progress towards this. We also have the issue at the landfill that we're $80,000 deep into so far, so we've got to shake some money loose for me to be able to keep up with that. And I'm recommending that that's a 2/3 required vote to the stabilization fund. And I'm recommending that the Board of, the Finance Advisory and Appropriations Committee make that recommend to the town meeting, they make that transfer at the Springtown meeting. Article 3, we just went over, Mrs. Lorkevich, for the $1,500 for the Agricultural Commission. Again, that's an article, so if they don't use the entire amount, it stays, and they can access it at a later date until the next fiscal year. Articles 14, 15, and 16 were one of the things we delayed the vote on. We have a better handle as to how the vote will look, how the article will be structured, and we're still waiting for the final numbers, but for now I put in a sum of money as opposed to the specific amounts.
Yeah, I see that.
That will send it to the ballot to be voted on. Money will be borrowed and repaid through the betterment.
Are we on track to get said numbers, Jay?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. Is that right?
The borrowing for the Water and Sewer Commission, from the
Oh,
Water and
yeah.
Sewer Commissioners, Article 19. See if the town will vote to raise and appropriate, borrow, transfer. Oh, this is only a transfer, George? 75?
Okay.
This is just a straight up transfer, Mr. Chairman. Retain earnings,
Document's different on mine.
pay for water operating expenses and so forth within the water budget. I'd recommend that they get approved. Article 20, I'm gonna recommend it gets referred back to the planning board. That's not a financial one anyway.
Yeah, the one we have online doesn't quite line up with the numbers.
What doesn't line up?
Yeah, so on mine, the water sewer one was 20.
And 21 was the zoning amendment?
21 is the.
Maybe if you refresh it, it'll be fine. I think we just changed this right at the end of the day today,
Oh.
so.
I'll listen to you read it then.
I think that's it for our financial articles, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ruda.
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Sullivan.
I just have a non-financial question to the administrator. What is the purpose of Article 21 to create a new bylaw? Or are we updating a bylaw or petition articles?
I'm gonna look it up, cause your 21 might not be my 21.
One, 10 or more registered voters? Or just cleaning the language up a little bit?
Yes, that's exactly what we're doing, is cleaning the language up.
For street numbers and
Yes,
addresses, okay.
yeah.
Makes sense.
Okay,
It actually wasn't solid enough the way we've had it written in the past, so this solidifies it. Town council mentioned that.
Well, should be accountable if they're gonna add to the warrant.
okay, agreed. Okay, so I'll go back to the FAA now. Anybody have, board, you guys have any questions? Yeah, Mike, FAA have any questions?
I have none, John. No.
Okay.
Anybody else have any questions?
All right, you guys, Joan?
Going back to Article 19, the amount written in the dollars, well, the wording says $75. It should be $75,000.
Oh, Scribner.
Oh, the comma, oh, good, eagle eyes. Okay, that's good. $75.00.
Okay.
Good call, Joan.
It's in there twice.
And it's in there twice.
Yep.
Why we go through them, that's good. Guys get that?
Yep.
I did have one other question, Mr.
Mr.
Chair.
Sullivan?
To the administrator, the piece, I forget what article it was, off of Piasta, that they're donating to the town.
Yes.
Is that gonna fall under the purview of selectmen, conservation, highway? What's the purpose of the piece?
I think that would be conservation.
It's gonna be conservation land?
Is there a road up
Where the retention basin would be for the project. I believe the intent would be to fall under conservation.
So who would Jeff, would any maintenance be on that,
Mike,
on that
go on mute.
detention basin?
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
It would either be, that's the one we discussed, I think, that Jeff had mentioned to me, I think was, they either donate the land or they give us a right-of-way, so it can be maintained, right?
Correct. And there's language put into, in one of the bylaw, one of the later bylaw updates, in the warrant articles that would address that,
Okay.
the access for, maintenance and repair.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? We're just verifying that the article numbers line up with the, in the motion to the, if we're passing over, we're still approving to,
Yes, well, you're approving the recommendation to the town meeting, so if the recommendations pass over, then you're voting, that's gonna be the FAA's recommendation.
yeah, so it's just to put it on, right? We're not like, yeah. So as it reads in the agenda, the motion is what he's gonna read, right? That's what I'm getting at.
Oh, the proposed motion?
Yes.
Well, let's just make sure we covered all the right numbers.
Yeah, that's what Mark's doing. Go ahead.
I was looking at Article 10.
Think that's the fund zone?
Yes. Want that in the motion, or?
Yes, please.
All right.
Eleven we want in there.
Everyone 11?
You want 12 as well?
We want 12 in there.
Okay.
We want 13 in there. And 14.
14's in there. 15,
15,
as presented in the draft.
16, and 17.
15, 16, and 17.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes, sir.
And then we want the
19.
transfer for water sewer.
19. Yeah.
Okay,
So it's 19 on the printed, not on ours. Right.
right.
Go ahead.
And I'd stick with the printed.
Yeah, I would stick with the printed, because that's what they're looking at, so they'll know to change it.
Okay.
Okay?
Yes, sir.
All right, Mr. Landry, you want to, Mike, we're going to have Mark read the motion for FAA. Okay, go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, I move to recommend approval of Articles 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 19, as presented in the draft town meeting warrant dated April 4th, 2022, and that the FAA further recommend the sources of funding discussed and decided for each article to the May 23rd, 2022 town meeting warrant, and that further authorize the town administrator to change the numbering of the articles approved as part of this motion and as he deems appropriate to the format of the final version of the May 23rd, 2022 town meeting warrant.
Second.
Is there a second on that?
Motion
John
by
Curry,
Mr.
second.
Landry, seconded by John Curry.
John, second. All right. Is there any discussion?
No, sir.
Okay, seeing none, call vote. All in favor?
Roll call vote.
We got a roll call vote?
Mark Landry, aye.
Joan Gadecki, aye.
John Curry, aye.
And go dry.
And Mike Mayo, aye.
Okay, all right, thanks, FAA. And
Mr. Chairman,
borrow those numbers for, yes?
one item that did appear on our capital improvement, on the capital improvement, plan for fiscal year '23 is the carpeting for the library, and I have not received anything from the library in terms of a source of funding, so it's not included on this warrant at this point.
Okay,
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Sullivan.
have they provided estimates to the cost?
Yes,
So that's solid?
it's yes, and they provided the correct quotes, and it made it to the capital improvement plan, it just stopped there. I didn't receive any, request to put any articles on. And it's not included in the budget, so.
Here's a motion with the right numbers on it. Board members, pleasure.
Are we still gonna do our article by article recommendation vote before town meeting? This is just to take the draft, right?
This is the draft and put him on the warrant, right?
Right, this is just to present the warrant, Jonathan?
This is, this is, we'll omit these unless they change. We can go, if anybody wants to, if anybody has a hold on any numbered article item, do a hold, and
Do it that night.
we can do it that night, or we can do it at the next meeting, or.
All right.
Can you pass that back? That's one of them. I wrote the numbers to
All right,
match.
that's why I'm gonna give it to him.
Oh,
I've got
No,
it on
no.
my phone.
Oh, you
no,
got it?
so you can read I put the right numbers in the motion.
Used to passing.
Yeah, oh, sorry.
Well, I'm not gonna list the motions, right? We're just gonna accept as presented, inclusive of these.
You can, well, he read it, I figured we'd read it. What would you rather, us read the whole motion?
Cause they were doing financial, we're doing the whole warrant, right? You want us to do the motion should be the whole warrant for us, not just financial.
You can do either way, Mr. Sullivan.
Alright, I make a motion, Mr. Chair, that we accept the draft warrant in its entirety as presented, including the updated article numbers.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Sullivan, seconded by Mr. Sigenovich.
Can I ask
Yeah.
just one addition to that, is to allow me the ability to change any numbering of the articles as approved tonight, or any motion to, and part of that motion would be to adjust the final warrant on the advice of town council as she deems appropriate to the format of the final version.
Yeah, I have no problem with that language, just add that.
Okay, the seconder?
Yes.
Okay, any other discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Stephen Sullivan, aye.
Gary Sigenovich, aye.
John Marcy, aye. Unanimous. All right. Got departments. Jeff, you want to, any Steve?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just as the administrator mentioned earlier, we went through DMA Holdings this morning. It looks to be in order down there. So there's a couple things that we're looking to finalize as far as the plan of attack down there, as far as how the openings are going to go. There's a couple days they'll be hiring some officers to work down here, depending what it's going to be for traffic or however it works. So we're working good with them there, but they seem to have it pretty well in order. And the Cannabis Control Commission will be making their final determination in the next couple of days. We're going to do the drug take-back on April 30th again, from 9 to 1 downstairs. And I think Harrington Hospital is going to provide some folks there with some medical information too for people who might stop in. And lastly, we're finishing up our renovations in the dispatch center. The students from Bay Path have been in there, electrical and all the carpentry students, doing a really good job with everything there. So hopefully that's going to be, excuse me, wrapped up this probably tomorrow or the day after, and we'll be able to go from there.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you much.
Thanks, Steve.
Appreciate that. Dean?
You're already that far, huh?
Yep.
Yeah?
Amazing what happens when you're not here.
Yeah.
Sorry, we got tied up on a little bit of a dilemma.
Understood. Duty
So, now I lost my whole train of thought. As you're aware, maybe a week and a half ago, there was a fire. I don't know if it was mentioned prior to me getting here, because I just got here. I just like to take a moment to recognize the following people, even though they'll be given awards on the selectmen's meeting on the 25th, but I just didn't want any of them to feel like they had been forgotten. I meant to bring it up at the last selectmen's meeting, but that one ran kind of late. So we had the fire. I'd like to thank Jacqueline Carter, Tony Fitzhebert, Ryan Daniels, and Tim Bullock. And obviously, there'll be a more detailed event coming at the next selectmen's meeting, but they basically helped one of the residents out of the house and under fire conditions, so thank you to all of them. And we'll get more details on that on the 25th. I think they've all been notified, correct?
Letters have been out.
Yeah, and the fire ladder truck is out of service probably for a few weeks anyway. I finally got Sutphin to agree to fix all the issues that we've had with it for a number of years, all the warranty work's being done 100% covered. We had to go back and forth with them for quite a bit, but now these issues are finally gonna get rectified correctly. So I'm glad that that's finally gonna be taken care of. Also, I'd like to take a moment to thank my Assistant Chief, Paul Konechny, for his work on the initial stages of the fire. I had forgot to mention that earlier. He did a great job getting the crews going in the right direction and setting the whole scene up for success prior to my arrival, so thanks to him as well. And that's all I have, unless you have any questions for me.
Questions for Chief? Thank you, Gene. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Chief.
George, anything?
Just a couple things. Guys will be out doing more hydrant flushings. They'll be out doing meter reading. Lead and copper sampling is coming up. We hate to keep doing that, but the state requires us to do it now with the new wells. So I don't know how long that's going to go, probably for another couple of years. So I'm grateful to the people that participated, mostly in the Cardinal Height area. But unfortunately, we have to keep doing it. They're going to be doing work at the Bates Tank coming up in the next couple of weeks. The department was also just awarded a $150,000 grant for PFAS mitigation, which helps us to reimburse for that blending main project we did a year or so back. So we're grabbing at every possible grant that's out there for PFAS and stuff. More should be coming. So keep on trucking.
Thank you, George. Any questions?
George, what time's the public hearing Wednesday
Good call.
I'm not even,
for the rate increase?
that's a good question. I'm not even sure myself. I haven't even had a chance to.
What time's the meeting start?
6:30 usually is.
Be there
Yeah.
for
6:30.
6:30 at least.
I don't think they changed it or brought it back or anything.
All right. Maybe get on social media, Mr.
Yeah.
Chair.
Yeah, social media maybe on that one. All right.
Thanks, Rich.
Good evening. Open enrollment, fingers crossed, is going to be next week. The Insurance Advisory Committee meeting from the Hampshire Council of Governments Insurance Trust will vote to have the open enrollment. So they need to have their meeting in order to get the formal vote. I'm expecting the middle of next week's probably going to run for 3 weeks. Again, open enrollment is the time for you to do whatever you'd like to do without a qualifying event. So had we 2 plans, you could migrate from one to another, you could add someone, you could remove someone, whatever your choice is. Again, we're gonna have the rate sheet that's gonna come out. We're going to have sort of the parameters for things. Remember, it's a June 1st deduction for a July 1st enrollment date. Along those lines, we have an update, actually 2 updates for the health insurance policy manual. Remember, every year things change. You want to change one of 2 things. Operationally, something may have happened and we need to address it in the annual review, or legislatively, legally, something happens where we go through and we need to get something addressed. So we have 2 things coming through. Brian Boyle, the health insurance consultant, is sort of putting the final touches on things. Very fortunate to have him as our consultant. He's an attorney, but also he has the advantage of working with other groups. So our policy manual, as much as you all believe I'm brilliant and this stuff flows, it's sort of a hybrid. We're addressing things as they come up. We have Blue Cross's best guidance. We also have the Hampshire Council of Governments Insurance Trust and their best practices. So we get to benefit from those things. So look in the next meeting or 2 for an update on there. Maya and loss prevention coming up next week. We're going to have a meeting. We're going to put the final touches on all of the training. I guess we didn't want to go through and ask for the renewal unless we had as many boxes ticked as we could. Everybody knows loss prevention is a year-round thing, but really it's that one last push before you go through and ask for your renewal. Again, last meeting, if there's ever a question on the debt, the DE1, which is part of your pro forma tax calculation, I know there's been some discussions previously. Well, this piece of debt comes off, how much is the tax rate going to move? It's sublime to have a discussion about such things. Much easier if there is a spreadsheet that says this is what we have right now. If we change one component of it, this is what happens. Again, we've got 3 or 4 different wheels spinning to try to get an estimated tax rate with certain unknowns happening. But I think we can model something that's going to be reasonable and solid. I'd hate to go through and give somebody a number off the top of my head just because there's too many variables, but the office has 80 or 90% of those source documents, so you could put something together. The board doesn't have any questions. Again, nope. Individually or as a group or through the town administrator, if there's a question on the debt, happy to answer them. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Rich.
Thank you, Rich. All right, next up, student rep, not here tonight. Board member comments. Kerry?
Nothing.
Steven?
Not too much, Mr. Chair. We don't meet again until the 18th, I believe, right?
Next week.
Oh, next week? Then the 25th? I'll wait till next week then. I was gonna wish everyone a happy Easter, but another bite at the apple.
Another bite. So you get your wish, your meetings every week.
Yep.
Yep.
Still here till 10 o'clock last week.
Still here.
And we're gonna be here late tonight too,
Okay,
some of us.
Dean.
What basketball game?
I know. All right.
What Bruins game?
I don't have any comments tonight. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Wanna let them adjourn first?
Oh, Mike, you want to adjourn your meeting? Thank you. Is he gone?
Let Mr. Mr. Vice Chair Landry,
Yeah.
and take the gavel.
Mike, you wanna?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Well, ask for a motion. You'll
I'll recommend a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right, John, you,
Good enough.
okay, yeah, sorry. John moves, somebody seconds, right?
Right.
Ann? How about Ann?
And second.
Call for it.
Roll call vote. All in favor? Mark Landry, aye.
Joan Gadecki, aye.
John Curry, aye.
I think-
Unanimous.
And I think my kid dropped, thank you, Mr. Landry. And,
Motion to adjourn.
motion by Mr. Sullivan, seconded by Mr. Sigenovich, roll call vote.
Stephen Sullivan, aye.
Terry Siganovich, aye.
John Marcy, aye, unanimous. Thank you, everybody, good night.
Oh, that was painless.
Chief.
What's going on? I like that.
Guys.